welcome to SVGTV's news for Wednesday, November 25th, 2015. I am Rochelle Baptiste with the details. Prime Minister and leader of the Unity Labour Party, Dr. Rod Gonzalez, says his administration, since taking office, has provided to the people of this country over $100 million in land distribution. The announcement was made at the latest distribution of housing lots to the people of Fairhall yesterday afternoon at a ceremony held at the primary school. Dr. Gonzalez explained that this is part of his administration's policy to not only improve lives but also fortify the economy with a strong housing sector. At the event, where some 50 letters for lots were distributed, Dr. Gonzalez outlined that affordable quality housing is a basic human right. He says that over 2,000 low-income houses and replacement homes have been constructed since the ULP took office in 2001.
We have distributed more lands, housing lots, than any government in the history of this country. Some 5,000. 5,000 lots on an average at 5,000 square feet each. Some more, some less, but the average is 5,000 square feet. That's 25 million lots on an average price of $4 a square foot, because some more and some less. 25 million square feet multiplied by $4 a square foot. Do people get it for $10? I mean, $1.50 and so on. We have distributed a value of over $100 million in land and brought that into the marketplace to strengthen the economy.
Dr. Gonzalez told the gathering persons no longer have to pay 8% but now pay 3% within a maximum of 5 years to make payments to have full ownership of their properties.
You will see the letter will say that the interest is only 3%. We changed that, you know, the interest used to be 8%. And you have to pay interest indefinitely. The maximum years you pay interest for on any lands we give out is 5 years. So that if you have a difficulty in catching your hand to pay for it all, you don't have to worry. After 5 years the interest doesn't add up anymore. In the old days, under the previous administration, the interest used to be much more than the actual money for the land, because it was 8% and an indefinite time. All these things were done to help the poor, the vulnerable, the marginalized.
And area representative for the East St. George constituency, Clayton Bergen, says the provision of letters for persons to have ownership of their lands is a holistic form of policy development by the Unity Labour Party. Bergen says the ULP does not view progress as the opposition NDP, where having a surplus while people are suffering is considered advancement.
We in the Unity Labour Party ensuring that people have title to their lands. You know, when I check out the 5,000 lots that we have shared out so far, I am seeing that the whole of St. James will be living on government land. And the governments before never thought it fit to give them title so that they can uplift themselves and develop themselves. But this Unity Labour Party, a party that knows about development, and under the tremendous leadership of Comrade Rod Gonzalez, along with the rest of the Unity Labour Party, whether in the central executive, we know what development is all about and what love is all about. Not like some people who want to balance the book and say they have surplus and have the people suffering. No, we don't do those sort of things. So this evening, the 54 persons are there, about 48 somewhere, and then a couple others elsewhere. You are going to receive letters today for lands that you can go and pay for a loan to call your own.
Additionally, Bergen says that housing is a basic human right for all, not just the wealthy. He stated that the ULP administration has been ensuring that they improve the quality of life of Vincentians by ensuring that not only materials are provided, but also ownership of property is finalized.
Very hard to make sure that all Vincentians own a little piece of this rock and own their own home and own or get access people. It is a right of all people. And we are here to do our part to make that right more accessible to people in this country. We have been trying over the years to ensure that everybody has this right, and that people who already have a house or living somewhere get to live a little better.
Well, that was the ULP's candidate for East St. George, Camilo Gonzalez. In other news, renewable breaks dependency on fossil fuels and reduce carbon emission and stops the depletion of the ozone layer. That's according to Dr. Alston Stoddard, specialist for CARICOM Renewable Energy Capacity Support, who was speaking at a renewable energy conference here earlier today. According to Dr. Stoddard, the existence of SVG is dependent on the conservation of the natural environment and a reversal of the impacts of climate change, and that he is pleased to see persons getting on board with the increased use of renewable energy.
There are private persons, if you look on their rooftops, you would see solar PV panels. If you look at the rooftop, you will see solar water heating units. These systems are designed to help us to reduce our cost, the cost of electricity. So rather than buying an electric water heater, it is cheaper to invest in a solar water heater than an electric water heater. Over time, the payback period will be short, and over time, we will begin to see the benefit of our investment in real terms, financial terms.
According to Dr. Stoddard, the renewable energy project here in SVG seeks to address the issue of energy within the transportation sector.
That we are also addressing the issue of energy within the transportation sector. This is one of the sectors that has been ignored for many years. And those of us who go to the pump to buy fuel would attest to the fact that we spend a lot on fuel. And so we need to address the issue of energy within the transportation sector. Now this project seeks to address that. In the next couple of weeks, we will be buying an electric vehicle, and that vehicle will be on demonstration for all to see the use of electric vehicle. We also have in our country a hybrid vehicle that has been provided by the Toyota company.
At the launch of activities to kickstart its week, Focal Point Officer for Communicable Diseases and Immunization, Ferocious Roach, says that the HIV/AIDS unit will be collaborating with other organizations to reaffirm their commitment of addressing the disease here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. According to Roach, the week of activities creates an avenue where persons are reminded that HIV/AIDS is a serious public health threat, and despite the progress made over the years, HIV/AIDS is still very prevalent. The Focal Point Officer adds that HIV/AIDS is one of the most destructive pandemic in the history of SVG, and therefore extensive work has to be done to end the spread of the virus.
We have to commit anew to the leadership, support, and ownership needed to fight this deadly disease and to achieve the goal of getting to zero. And as we look ahead to this goal of getting to zero, we must focus on good and sustainable strategies. Strategies that will effectively respond to HIV and AIDS. We have to continue to make services available to ensure that people get tested to know their status. We have to ensure that persons tested positive are placed on antiretroviral treatment, and we have to ensure that the negative ones remain negative. We have to provide support necessary to retain persons on treatment. We have to continue to prevent mother-to-child transmission of HIV, and we have to eradicate all new infections.
Dr. Rosman Adams says HIV has transformed from a generalized phenomenon to one that is concentrated, where the prevalence is higher in what is known as the key population. He further stated that the stigma and discrimination in SVG is negatively affecting progress in curbing the spread of the virus, adding that continued phobia presents MSN, which prevents key population being able to access HIV services. Furthermore, Dr. Adams says that the blame that surrounds HIV deters persons from getting tested, treatment, and care.
When we speak of key population, we're speaking about groups such as men who have sex with men, MSMs, commercial sex workers, people who are in prisons, etc. And so the prevalence are disproportionately affected by HIV throughout the Caribbean region. So these groups have a higher prevalence than the general population. So the prevalence rate among MSMs in the Caribbean are the highest documented rates in the world and are extremely high when compared to the general population rates. A comprehensive review by the UNAIDS of HIV disease burden among MSM worldwide found that pooled HIV prevalence ranged from as low as 3% in the Middle East and North America to 25% in the Caribbean.
According to Dr. Adams, there is a greater number of men in SVG who have tested positive for the virus. Currently, there are approximately just over 600 men and women living with HIV/AIDS. Though much work is being done, and according to Dr. Adams, much more is required to reduce the spread of the virus.
1,448 persons have been tested positive here since the beginning of the epidemic in 1986. So since 1986, we have tested 1,448 persons positive. Approximately just over 650 persons are living with HIV/AIDS in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And this is after 29 years of the first case being diagnosed here in St. Vincent. This approximation translates to about 1.2% of the adult population and 0.7% of the total population. So when you only count adults alone, we're getting 1.2%, but the entire population, 0.7%. These indices compare favorably with those of the other countries.
Speaking on findings of a study conducted from 2011 to 2014, Dr. Adams says that the inability for people who are incarcerated to access condoms is a very significant barrier in curbing HIV/AIDS.
Study that was done here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on a key population. It was the HIV seroprevalence study among male prisoners in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and this was done in 2005. And it was estimated that the prevalence among this population was 4.1%. So we see the disparity among the general population of 0.7% and 4%. So so among this key population, the prevalence is greater. At the time of this survey, 1/2 of the HIV-positive inmates had been incarcerated for less than 6 months. It's important to note this. So in less than 6 months, they were incarcerated and they were positive, and the remainder for less than 2 years. The mean age of these inmates were 30 years. So these are young people being affected by the virus.
Additionally, Dr. Adams notes that prevention initiatives must be expanded across more communities to keep HIV/AIDS as a highlighted topic and not a hidden issue.
It must not be something that we hide. It must not be something that we don't want to speak about, but we must confront it, and we must bring it to the forefront. There must be advocacy. There must be work. And so all of us, even the children, should know about HIV, about how they can prevent it themselves from being infected. But not only that, but how they can advocate to help others who may be affected from HIV. And so to truly understand how to respond to an epidemic, countries must understand the characteristics of their own situation. So we've seen our figures, we know what is happening, we know who are the affected ones. So we must know who is affected, where they're affected, when they're affected, why they're affected, how they're affected, etc. And so this is going to help us to allocate resources and to plan programs so that we don't just throw money out there for HIV/AIDS and it's not going to the right persons, it's not having an impact.
With the United Nations reporting that 1 in 3 women around the world are experiencing physical or sexual violence at some point in their life, the National Council of Women, the NCW, is expressing solidarity with the rest of the world to commemorate International Day to End Violence Against Women today, Wednesday, November 25th. The theme under which the day is being commemorated is prevention and is part of the United Nations Orange Your World campaign by using the color orange to ensure a brighter future for all. President of the NCW, Beverly Richards, revealed that the organization has also partnered with the Ministry of National Mobilization to engage in 16 days activism spanning from today, November 25th to December 10th, which is International Human Rights Day.
Join with the UN Secretary General Unite campaign to end violence against women and invite you to share in its slogan, Orange the World. During the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, from International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women on 25th November to Human Rights Day on 10th December, Orange events will take place around the world and right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The aim is to raise awareness and mobilize people everywhere to promote ending violence against women and girls in our communities and bring about the change. Using the color designated by the Unite campaign symbolizes a brighter future without violence.
Richard says violence against girls and women is a horrific pandemic that can be stopped and encourage the public to continue to find solutions and keep it at bay.
The term violence against women means any act of gender-based violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, or psychological harm or suffering to women, including threats to such acts, coercion, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or private life. These acts of violence against women and girls occurring in the family, in the general community, or whether condoned by the state are unfavorable choices. Perpetrators and all stakeholders can choose to stop it. Violence can be stopped. It can be prevented.
In other news, the finals of the 2015 Secondary School Drama Festival will be held here tomorrow evening at the Peace Memorial Hall. At the closing event, which is expected to begin at 3:30 p.m., addresses are expected from representatives of the Ministry of Tourism, Sports and Culture and the Ministry of Education. This event will feature the productions of the two top schools in the festival, the Girls High School, the champion from 2013 and 2015, and the Barley Technical Institute. They will battle for the winning trophy. The main feature of the event will be the award ceremony, in which the various actors and schools will be awarded trophies and certificates for participation and outstanding performances in the festival. The Secondary Schools Drama Festival is produced by the Ministry of Tourism, Sports and Culture and the Ministry of Education. Welcome to SVG-TV's Election Heat 2015. Leader of the Unity Labour Party, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, says he is alarmed as to why the New Democratic Party has no mention of a prominent issue of climate change in their 2015 election manifesto. Dr. Gonzalez said this is an absolute joke in that if one wants to lead, he or she must be prepared for the issues at hand to further secure the safety and well-being of all Vincentians and the nation on a whole.
It's just incredible. When that is an existential issue, you take an existential issue off the table. You say nothing about it. Huh? You don't have anything on oceans. You have nothing on oceans.
Dr. Gonzalez also highlighted that SVG will be represented at the European Nations Conference of Parties slated for December 15, 2015 in Paris. The delegation, he says, would include representatives from the Ministry of Health and the Environment along with Dr. Douglas Slater serving as a CARICOM representative. According to Dr. Gonzalez, there are clear positions as it relates to small island states, not only in CARICOM but the OECS as well, and they hope to see a legally binding agreement coming out of the conference.
And not discretionary monies, not optional monies, but monies which are legally binding for climate change adaptation and mitigation. So targets which are set, which are legally binding, which we can, and we have a mechanism to monitor them, and we have monies apart from whatever bilateral monies which we may negotiate, but binding sums which the emitters, the major emitters in the world, and say, well, this is what we are putting into the pot.
Outlining some of the issues faced by small island states due to climate change, Dr. Gonzalez said that the ULP government has already been involved in sourcing funds for the mitigation and adaptation to climate change. He says this is indeed a crucial matter and that it must be raised if climate change is to be properly addressed.
You take the coastline of St. Vincent. We have been doing some work, but comprehensive work has to be done on the entire east coastline and also on the west, because we are losing our land at a rapid rate. Georgetown, for instance, going all the way up to Sandy Bay, but the Bay of Georgetown to Shipping Bay, you watch all those places. We are dealing with countries on a bilateral basis, and we have listed monies which we have in the manifesto. You would have seen that for coastal defense.
Leader of the New Democratic Party, Adam Eustace, said that he is elated by the huge support the party has been attracting as they prepared for the December 9th, 2015 general elections. Citing a bit of the party's history, Eustace noted that there was once a time when proceedings such as party rallies were not as prominent, as the party did not have a lot of followers attending these rallies.
Well, we are happy tonight, having good crowds at all our meetings. There was a time when that was not so. There was a time when people like Leacock and Friday and Terence Olivier, John Horn and others, we couldn't have a meeting like this, because nobody will come. And very often we call meetings both public and not so public, and people won't come. The NDP was perceived to be dead. But tonight, the NDP is seen to be very alive.
Eustace, who was speaking at a meeting in Hollywood last evening, said that while this was so, the party has since gained more overall votes throughout the last 3 general elections, adding that with an increase of over 5,000 votes in the last elections, the party has hoped that there is a guaranteed change ahead for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
It is more than that this time. And the New Democratic Party will win the 2015 election in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. When you look at the trend of the voting, when you listen and see the crowds that attended NDP meetings, we know that we're going to win, and the trend is upwards all the time. And we will go over the border at this time, and the new Democratic Party will form government in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Representation is an important matter as far as politics is concerned. That's the view of the Unity Labour Party's candidate for Central Kingston, Beresford Phillips, as he addressed party supporters at a meeting last evening in Green Hill. Phillips stressed that it is important to have persons in government who solely strive to represent the people. He said that the ULP government, after winning the December 9th general elections, will do just that, as they have done for the past 15 years.
You supported the NDP, and so this constituency fell to the NDP. You had 5 years of representation on the opposition benches, and many of you complained to me that you regretted having voted for the opposition representative, because on many occasions he told you that he's unable to help you because his party did not win government. You cannot afford in these elections to make that mistake again for another 5 years to put Central Kingston on the opposition benches. You cannot be properly represented if you elect Sinclair Leacock, because he will be in opposition again.
Phillips said that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines have one only clear option, is by voting the ULP in the upcoming general elections.
I'm wondering if they are ready for governance of this country. You're wondering if they can really represent you, the people of this country. And so, as the elections draws near, I am urging you, each and every one of you, to make the right decision. And that decision must be to return the Unity Labour Party to governance in this country. If you make the mistake and you vote for the NDP, Crapo will smoke your pipe.
Thanking his supporters for electing him in the 2010 general elections, the NDP's candidate for Central Kingston, Sinclair Leacock, said he will continue to represent his constituents to the best of his ability once re-elected. He made this promise as he addressed party supporters at a meeting last night in the small community of Hollywood. Leacock said he has always put serving the people of Central Kingston above all things, including his health. This, as he mentioned, a current ailment which affects him. He told the gathering that after 15 years, he still stayed devoted to developing the community and people of Central Kingston and will continue to do so.
2013, I had what they call torn retinas. My eyes got detached. I went to Barbados and had operation. It was by and large successful, but one of my eyes still has a problem. I went back to Barbados this year in August, and the doctor says he can fix it and operate on me. But, listen to the but if he does that, I will not be able to take part in the election this year. I said, doctor, leave the idea. I must contest this seat in Kingston to bring governance to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I have put my health and my eye ahead of anything else because I believe this political victory is more deserving of me being able to see from one eye.
Leacock said Vincentians must pay attention to how the ULP government has wastefully used and abused the country's resources and their false promises. He said that it is time for a change in the Vincentian economy and urged voters to go out on December 9th and play their part in electing the NDP, which he says truly cares for the people.
It will take the whole of 2016 to be able to get fuel from Stubbs Bay to Argyle for big jets to come here. Yet they are saying to you they're going to open an airport and planes will be coming here, when they know fully that it can't happen. I am advised by people who would know.
Residents of Fancy have been told by the ULP's candidate for North Windward Montgomery Daniel not to forget the challenges that they faced prior to the ULP gaining government 15 years ago. Addressing a political meeting in Fancy last Sunday, Daniel urged residents to vote for him and the ULP for continued representation and a continued commitment to develop the North Windward constituency and SVG on a whole.
Comrades, I am happy that I have been given the opportunity to serve the people of Fancy and the constituency of North Windward. It was a nightmare traveling northwards of the Rabica River. And so, in 2007, we were blessed with the Rabica Bridge, where it made access easy to this part of the constituency of North Windward. It is a blessing. And so, I have done well for this constituency and for Fancy.
Additionally, Daniel said that a vote for him and the ULP is a vote for a better future because the ULP has been tested and proven true, and says that Labour is the only party that delivers.
I ask you to support Labour because it's only Labour that will deliver. And so, comrades, I want to say to you, I want to ask of you to continue to give me your vote. I want to continue the housing program in this country. I want to see the housing, the education revolution as well. I want to see that there is reduction in poverty in this country. The only party that can do this is the ULP. So I'm asking you, please vote Labour.
And the New Democratic Party's candidate for South Windward, Noel Dixon, is striding the $200 increase that the Unity Labour Party administration has said that they will give to student nurses. Dixon said at a recent meeting at Evesham that since 2002, student nurses were getting $811, and to give them an increase of just $200 more is an insult to them.
Those student nurses, they are saying that NDP will remove whatsoever subsistence that is given to the nurses. Now that was there before they came into office. And let us look from the period 2001 to presently. In 2002, these nurses, student nurses, were getting $811, right, monthly. He is now saying to them that he will give them $1,000. So over 14 years, we're talking about just under $200 increase. Yeah? Now, is that something so great? Right, on 14 years, just under $200 increase. Now the cost of living would have gone way beyond that.
Dixon says the ULP's claims that the NDP will turn back projects if elected into office is false. He says the only thing his party will be turning back is corruption.
And this is what he's doing. Instilling fear in our people to get them to believe that if they were to vote an NDP administration, we will turn back a lot of things. But we will turn back corruption. We will turn back corruption in the public service. When we have an individual, the registrar, moving out with over $300,000, and at the end of the day, she was only allowed or charged with $10,000. That is what she had to pay. You're talking about over $300,000.